Oh dear, does that look familiar? All right then, Mk5 Mondeo 2 litre diesel, tyre pressure monitoring system, or TPMS as it's abbreviated for. Why am I even saying this? Listen, I'm going to put you through a little scenario we have here quite often now, because we've got quite a fleet of these taxis from 65 plate to 18 plate. And quite often we're getting these tyre pressure warning lights flashing on the dash. Generally speaking, when the warning light starts flashing, you instantly think, shit, I've got a puncture, I've got a low tyre pressure. So you pull over, you check your tyre pressures, obviously. Let's assume you do have a low tyre pressure. You'll get the tyre fixed, whatever you do, you get your tyre pumped up again. Usually, the light will go off by itself if the tyre pressure is correct. Sometimes you have to do a reset on your dash, and you can do that on your vehicle's instrument pack. There's some buttons on the steering wheel you can use to reset your TPMS light. And if you want to see the video for how to do that, you can watch that here. But let's assume you don't have a low tyre pressure. You can still reset the system using your steering wheel buttons, but then you go down the road for another 10 miles and the light comes back on again. Now we've got a problem, because now we haven't got a low tyre pressure, our light keeps coming on. It could come, I mean, there's no point keep resetting it. If the light's going to keep coming on, it's obviously got another problem along the way somewhere. We've got to find out what the problem is. And here's the problem we've got here. If you've got a high-end model, you can probably have your tyre pressures displayed on your dash, so you can see what wheel's not registering, because all 4 wheels will show the tyre pressures, so you can see exactly what they are. And if you've got on, like, say one wheel, you've got a couple of dashes and there's no pressure reading, you've obviously got a faulty sensor there. What we've got here are the budget cars, the poverty cars, the low-end models. So from 65 plate to like 18 plate, I'll come to the 18s later, because they've upgraded them and we can actually display our tyre pressures on them, and they've got a different sensor as well which go in the wheels. But from 65 plate to late 17 plate, all our cars, we can do a reset, but we cannot see what the tyre pressures are. So if we've got a problem, we need to know which valve is faulty. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how we find out which valve is faulty, because it's no point changing all 4 when you've only got to change 1. So I'm going to show you these valves first. Just something to note here, we've got 2 sensors. One of these, which is the numbers end in 530, these are for 2015 up to late 2017 models. And these ones here end in 453. These are for your 2018 models. They look absolutely identical, but I'm telling you now, if you get the wrong ones on, they won't work properly. You will be able to do a reset and the light will go out, but 10 minutes later, or after a little run, the light will keep coming back on. So you've got to have the right valves fitted, and they're different prices as well. There's about £4 difference in the price. I kept looking at these and thinking they look absolutely identical, but when you look on the back of them, one of them has a little square and the other one has a triangle. And I don't know whether that's to signify what year range they're for, or how you can identify them. Well, that's how I identify them. Like the ones with the triangle will be for like the 2018 models, and the ones with the square will be 65 plate to late 2017. This 17 plate Mondeo I've got here is a typical example of a light that keeps coming on like 40-50 times a night, and it gets really annoying for the driver. So first thing, I'm going to connect our snap-on scanner up to our diagnostic connector. Okay, in order for us to find out whether we've got a faulty valve or not, we need to put the TPMS system into training mode. If you haven't got a scanner, you can do it manually, but either way, you're going to need one of these activation tools, regardless. But what I'll do is, to start off with, I'll run you through how you put the system into activation mode manually. So here's how it goes. You'll turn the ignition switch to the off position Then press and release the brake pedal. Number 2, you'll cycle the ignition switch from the off position to the on position 3 times, ending in the on position. Number 3, press and release the brake pedal. Number 4, turn the ignition switch to the off position. Number 5, turn the ignition switch from the off position to the on position 3 times, ending on the on position. The horn will sound once and the TPMS indicator will flash if the training mode has been entered successfully, if equipped. The message centre will display train left front tyre or LF tyre. Number 6, place the tyre pressure monitor activation tool on the left front sidewall at the valve stem. I mean, it goes from left front, right rear and left rear. The procedure is completed after the last tyre has been trained. When the training procedure is complete, the message centre will display tyre training complete. For vehicles not equipped with a message centre, successful completion of the training procedure will be verified by the turning the ignition switch to the off position without the horn sounding. If the horn sounds twice when the switch is turned to the off position, the training procedure was not successful. After a test is complete, rerun self-test and clear DTCs. But because I do have a scanner here, I'm going to enter the training mode, obviously with scanner. And once I put this car into training mode, I'm going to have to put this activation tool next to each valve in a certain order. And I'll press this button and it will light up and it will force each tyre valve to send a signal to the TPMS module to activate the tyre valve. Right, so I'll click on that with scanner. This procedure will enter TPMS sensor location training mode. Warning, before performing this procedure, please make sure the vehicle is parked at least 2 metres away from any other vehicle that has TPMS fitted. Warning, you must have a tyre pressure sensor activation tool before performing this procedure. Otherwise, when you go into training mode, the sensors will be erased. So I'll carry on, continue. Right, the horn has just sounded on the car. That's to signify that we are now actually in TPMS training mode. The vehicle is now in TPMS sensor location training mode. After the horn sounds, please use the TPMS sensor activation tool to activate the left front sensor by positioning the special tool against the tyre sidewall at the tyre valve stem. The horn will sound after each sensor is activated. Right, I'm beside the passenger front tyre, which is the first one we're going to start at. I'll put my tool next to the tyre valve and press the button. The horn should sound once if the valve is sending a signal, but I'm pressing this a few times and nothing is happening. So I'm kind of thinking there's a problem with this valve. Okay, I'm now down by the driver's front tyre. You see that there's a way you've got to do this. You start at the left front, which wasn't working. Now I'm at the driver's front. I'll press the button. The horn's beeped. That shows this valve is working. And you'll notice as we're going around the car, it'll be telling you on the dash which is the next tyre to be trained. Now we go to the driver's rear, or right rear. Press it again. Horn's beeped, this one's working. And now at the passenger rear, press our button. That's it, that one's working. And at the end of the test, on your dash, it will say training complete. Right, because I now know that our passenger front sensor is faulty, or it's not sending a signal out to our control module, what I'm going to do is I've got another wheel and tyre here with apparently a good sensor in it. So I'm going to carry out a test again with this wheel here and see if it activates this one. Right, so I'm going to enter our training mode once again on our scanner. And that horn signifies that we've entered training mode. Okay, I'll put the tool next to our tyre valve and press our button. That works now. So that definitely shows that the sensor is sending a signal to the control module. And we definitely know now that the valve here in this wheel is faulty. So I can swap this wheel over now, or actually get a new valve fitted and then retrain the whole lot again. And that's it, finished. I can exit now with our scanner and we're done. Okay then, so if everything was successful, the TPMS lamp on your dashboard should no longer be flashing. Right then, if anything I've just said don't make no sense, I don't know. But here's the thing. We've got a tyre rack full of wheels and tyres that are already built up, ready for these taxis. It saves the driver having to wait to have his tyres changed. We just take his old wheels off his car, put new wheels on with brand new tyres on them, and he's away. And all these wheels, they've got a sensor, they've got an old sensor on them because you haven't got to replace the sensor. You can use the sensor again and again. The thing is, it seems to be a bit of a lottery whether the car will just learn these new sensors or whether it won't. Sometimes the car goes and you don't see it again and everything's fine. Other times the system won't learn the sensor that's just been put on the car and it'll have to come down here and we'll have to activate the sensor using this. The funny thing is, when I do, if there's any fault codes in the TPMS module and I use this to activate the valve, this will actually clear the fault code at the same time and put the light out on the dash, which is pretty handy. It works quite well, but if you do fit brand spanking new TPMS sensors, you are supposed to use this tool to activate them because they come uncoded and this is what codes them, and then the car can recognise the sensors. And it's obviously, if you do like swap the wheels around front to rear and stuff like that, you actually are supposed to use this to reactivate them so they can learn the system properly. However, in reality, sometimes the car just learns them anyway. Anyway, that's it. I'm done. So till the next time, see ya.